large portion of the damage gets negated. The Omni Knight, though, that's a pick that I kind of like because you can do the heal bombs early on, right, where you just send the Weaver in, throw the heal on top of it, and it feels like that's kind of a comfortable combo for them. The Omni Knight plus the Weaver, where you can kind of play the Weaver a lot more aggressively than you typically could because of the repel.
Yep.
Is this a situation where the Weaver might even get an item like a Diffusal Blade to deal with the Warlock Golem? Is that
I
a situation
don't think so.
No,
I think
you don't think it's worth going
period.
for the Diffusal Blade?
Slash his way!
Yeah.
That sounded really good. I don't know.
I like the idea of weird orbs on Weaver now.
The thing is, though, if you go for that, I feel like you really severely lack for damage. And
that's true.
against, for example, if you fight against the Bristleback and you focus all your attention on the Warlock, how in a million
Bristol
years
has no mana to spam his quills.
If you just rush you want to rush the Desolator again, I think.
Yeah, I think you go for the Deso.
Yeah,
You can just Deso down the rocks.
Exactly.
If the rock's ever there and you're like, there's no heroes nearby, just start hitting the rock. You'll kill it pretty quickly with Deso.
The Omni can just throw down his ultimate as well, so they have ways actually to deal with the rocks this time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I keep wanting there to be people to build different orbs on Weaver, but it's just Desolator. It's just so much better in almost every situation.
It's a cool idea. You can counter silence with it, but I think they're right. The Deso will kill the Golem very fast. It has really high regen, so minus armor is good. And if he ever does find the Warlock channeling, he needs to kill him fast. Diffusal Blade's like a low to medium damage item, whereas Deso's just maximum damage.
And March is probably going to farm up his Aghanims relatively fast. And after that point, Diffusal on just one Golem and still having a Golem around is still pretty...
Yeah.
It feels pretty bad. It's almost like the build-up for Warlock counters the Diffusal Blade purchase anyway, because he's going to end up having 4 Golems by the end of the game anyway. So at the end of it, that Diffusal Blade feels real bad just killing 1 Golem out of 3 or out of 4 total. So
definitely.
All right. Well, with that, guys, do we think anybody won the draft specifically? We feel like it's pretty even.
I think MVP Phoenix's lineup is a lot easier to execute. I feel like less has to go right for them to win these team fights because the way that I always look at fights from a casting perspective is I try to play them in my head really quick and say, okay, what is the easiest way for X team to win a fight, right? For MVP Phoenix, all they have to do is make sure they get the rocks off. Like, that's the only thing. The Disruptor ult, it helps. Not that necessary. The Queen of Pain ult, is going to land because he's going to throw the Queen of Pain ult down first and then blink in. So I feel like it's just easier for MVP Phoenix to execute this draft. But I feel like HOT6, they had to know the Warlock was coming, so I feel like they're not completely caught unawares by this.
Right. God's opinion of who won the draft?
I like Phoenix's draft better, but every time I see HOT6 with these weird drafts and picks which I feel don't normally work, like the last time with the Omni Knight, the Bounty Hunter, I was expecting to be like a decent pick, but it worked way better than I thought it would. HOT6 seems to make these weird things work, like the support Pugna, the offlane Omni Knight, but on paper, looking at it from the outside, it does look like Phoenix have the better draft.
Yeah, and I think Jarex is on a hero that can't do as much as roaming as he normally can, so I feel like it's looking like a Phoenix draft.
All right, guys. Well, this is Game 4 of the Grand Finals of the SEA Qualifiers. Your casters will be Blitz and Gods. Take it away, guys.
Alrighty, here we go. MVP Phoenix looking to stay alive here in the SEA Grand Finals. They have mixed things up here. The March Warlock does put KP into the offlane. They're going to get a Fissure block onto MP. There's 4 Phoenix heroes here. They're looking for a first blood, and they're going to get it here. MP completely blocked in. Denied by Pugna. Oh, HOT6 salvage that situation. They will still lose both bounty runes, it looks like, but no first blood going the way of Phoenix.
Yeah, and that's actually the right move by them because they realize there's no way we're going to help them in time. The Fissure block is going to last for too long. Just go all in for the deny because if we lose both the bounty runes and we give up the first blood, we're kind of just sacrificing part of the laning phase already. And I feel like that's where MVP HOT6 have kind of had the better of them this entire, I want to say tournament, I guess, is the laning phase. Because, I mean, they're 4-1 against them if you extend the series out, right? And it feels like in all 5 of those games, even the one they lost, they had a significant advantage going into the mid-game.
Yep. 4-2 now with it was a 2-1 series in the winner bracket final.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Still very much favored towards the HOT6 way. They're looking for another Fissure. This is a full-on aggro trial, and they've left March solo against the Omni Knight. It's a pretty good matchup for a Warlock, especially being able to just zone out, rush something like Phase Boots here if you want to, and really try and bully the Omni Knight as much as you can.
This is going to be way too hard for the Omni Knight to deal with 1v1. Last time, he had the Witch Doctor with him, Jarex, being able to secure the lead, but this game it's not going to be the same as they're going to get aggro tri-laned. in some ways, this kind of makes things a little bit easier for MVP HOT6 because all they have to do is try to get a kill or two and force some sort of rotations. You're noticing the Omni as well kind of just giving up on it and saying, okay, I'm going to go for this repel one because I have to be more useful later on. Whereas the last time I felt like he went for the degen aura because he felt like he could actually contest the lane.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're against a melee hero as opposed to a range hero is the other big difference there. But the problem is this top lane doesn't really have great kill potential. You disrupt into a support Pugna Blast and a Weaver Shikuchi, and there's no real follow-up stun or slow for the disruption.
Yeah, I'm going to agree actually with you on that point as well. I think that the kill potential for MVP is incredibly low. The Weaver early on doesn't really do much. You do need some measure of levels to be able to kind of contest. And you have to be so careful with the Weaver as well, because if you get caught with the Sakuchi down early on, you go down so quickly.
Yep. It feels like MVP Phoenix have a good setup for the top lane as well as bottom lane, and mid lane, Queen of Pain versus Leshrac should just be a somewhat even matchup, although for now Leshrac is doing a lot better as far as CS goes, but that's something which should probably change over time and just kind of even out. There is the roaming potential of an Earthshaker as well for the Leshrac to worry about.
Especially with the Earthshaker, they're at so much pressure, and MP should do just fine because he can just spam that Lightning Storm off, but he has to be careful of getting on the low ground because Kyo can just blink behind him and instantly initiate on him, and the potential for death is there for him.
Dude, that's nice from Kyo. He stands off to the side so he doesn't get hit by the Lightning Storm off of the creeps, although he does end up taking that one as well as a couple right clicks from MP beforehand. But he has a regen rune, so he's going to heal himself back up. Bottom lane, March just bullying Sunby back. He's going for the kill with boots. Won't chase any further, though. Down to 67 HP, and that's going to be a fountain trip for Omni Knight, I imagine. He is looking to leech a bit more XP, though, in the time being. March with phase boots is not someone you want to mess around with as far as staying in this lane.
And MVP HOT6's lineup as well. There's not much an Omni can do to help this top lane, as if he were to rotate
bottom lane, looking for the chase. March trying to phase boots through and get that kill, but won't do so.
Unable to get it, but he might actually catch it on the back end as Sunbee's finally going to show himself, and will March actually commit for this?
He could maybe get it while taking the tower. Top lane, though, defensive disruption keeps Pugna alive. Only a little bit longer. KP. This time around, they do get the first blood. As Omni Knight finally decides, enough is enough, I'm going back to Fountain. He's not hanging around this lane anymore. This top lane, though, is suddenly a success for MVP Phoenix as they do get first blood. And it's on Bristleback of all heroes, the ideal target.
And this is 3 lanes won now for MVP Phoenix, at least in the very beginning. As Forev doesn't have the best CS, and March playing that Warlock. For me, personally, I feel like Warlock's weaknesses lies into the early game, the laning phase, where you don't really have high kill potential. Yes, you can zone somebody out, but against dual lanes, you don't really do too much. And ganking him is super easy. But if he gets that early Midas, if he gets that early farm advantage, I feel like it's just a little bit too difficult to stop in the mid game because you never want to engage.
Oh, Earthshaker. I mean, talk about winning all 3 lanes. The one lane that was maybe a bit more even was mid, but they're looking for a kill now with the Earthshaker. Qo bottling up, gets one more scream off the Shadow Strike. Bottle Charge is healing him up in between, but Qo gets the kill, and now all 3 lanes well and truly won.
Yeah, and Febby kept looking for that opportunity, and he was able to get that one, as there was no ward there. And once again, the Pugna, he actually heads back top, I think.
They want KP, and they'll get him, and a couple of Shadow Poison stacks enough. He actually leveled that up. Not something I was expecting to be as potent as it was. Another Shadow Poison stack.
Straight in for this.
Nuts wants to kill one more poison. That's going to be a kill onto Nuts, I believe. Tick, 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 tick. Coming soon, not yet. Meanwhile, March getting low. Just say a lave against 4F here. Nuts just lingering around. He knows he's dead. Will go down to the Shadow Demon, who does not get XP for it, and the Warlock survives. Drop the rock defensively, but going to be happy just to stay alive against that Weaver aggression.
If they would have been able to kill that Warlock from that TP, forced him to blow his first rock, got nothing out of it, been absolute worth right there for HOT6, and I would have called the laning phase somewhat even again, as that's a pretty large investment by them. As Sunvi hasn't really had the best time, though, as he's actually just pulling the enemy creep camps over. And in terms of the laning phase, I still think this does favor MVP Phoenix right now.
Well, this is going to turn things a bit more in HOT6's way if they can catch out Queen of Pain. And they will. The nighttime vision making it hard for Queen of Pain to scout out that Shadow Demon rotation. Now Urn charges with the Shadow Poison. Jerax just being aggressive all over the place. This is going to be close with that Nether Blast. I think that's a kill. 2 Poison Sacks. Going to be close with the Soul Catcher. 127, 128. Not quite enough.
I think
even
he
save
needed
the
one more
stick.
there. Yeah, and Febby's looking for it as well, but this is the weakness of March, is he can't really come in, and he has to be careful here. Can't really overcommit as
Febby
is ready.
has overcommitted. Mart's still there, but without a rock, and they're going to go on Febby to start things off. Warlock does get the kill into Pugna, but does pay for it with his Earthshaker's life, and will go scurrying away. Those phase boots have definitely helped him move around and fight a lot better.
Sunbee's going to continue to rotate to this bottom lane, but I mean, how is an Omni Knight ever going to contend with a Bristleback or a Warlock, especially one that's had such a poor early game start? I don't actually feel like he's going to have any impact in the laning phase, but again, that's not what Omni Knight is supposed to do. I feel like in the game where they had a lot of success with it, they got kind of lucky with how well that Omni Knight was able to CS, but I don't think they're expecting that to happen again this game, and I think they're okay with it.
Well, for now, his actual CS is kind of caught up. He's actually doing better than the Bristleback for now, but top lane, maybe some problems here as 4Rev looking to Shikuchi away. Glimpse not going to catch out the Weaver. They're going to scout out Heen, who gets initiated on Sonic Wave Scream. QO instantly pops Heen on the Pugna. And should be just fine against this Purification Shikuchi. Will be forced to blink on out defensively, but with 8 minutes approaching, he'll just probably make his way towards that top minute 8 rune.
I'm actually really surprised that the Omni Knight chooses to reveal himself there as well, because it opens up the lane again for March. He has to realize that there's nobody that's going to come to pressure him, and that's just more free farm time for him.
Yep. He's, I think, got his Midas coming out now. Yeah, that courier holding on to the recipe, and that'll be arriving shortly. 8 minutes in, phase boots Midas. This is on track as far as the Warlock's concerned.
That's such a reasonable timing for a Warlock. He gets the phase boots to be able to pressure the rest of the lanes and actively participate in the chase, and it helps his base damage so much as he has one of the better animations in the game, and then you're getting the hand of Midas without being pressured whatsoever. I think you just continue to build on this lead as the Omni Knight is so poor right now.
Well, Omni Knight back towards the top lane. His movements around the map so far not really amounted to too much. As it seems MVP HOT6, they want to go group up, they want to push some towers. Shadow Demon not up here yet, but they've got everybody else starting to kind of work away here, but with an Earthshaker off to the side in a good position to get off a fissure. This is a very dangerous place to be pushing at this stage of the game without anything like a mech on your side. I guess the Omni Knight's the mobile medic here.
I think they're just waiting for MVP HOT6 to overcommit for this, come in with the Warlock, drop the rock on top of them, lay down the fissure so there's no escape.
Well, they're going to glyph up. Febby still hiding, gets scouted up by the Weaver. Shikuchi on forward. Febby just going to run away, drops a sentry even to be on the safe side. And with the damage he took, he may be the end of the defense of this tier 1 tower. This Swarm going to completely airball. Does buy time for the next group wave to come in and start chipping away at this top lane, though.
Yeah, but in this mid lane,
this is not worth it for HOT6. Surely they can actually give up that tier 1 tower. I think ideal scenario is you just give it up, delay it as much as possible, but do not give up kills. And how are they even getting kills? Unless they get disruption into a Leshrac stun, that's their only really avenue into finding kills.
They get the tier 1 at top. We're going to see if this was actually worth it, as QO is putting so much pressure in this bottom lane. March is doing a lot of damage.
I think even without a counter tower, the amount of damage they did to the mid and the bottom tower is fine for Phoenix. Yeah, they didn't get the money for it yet, but they probably feel like, well, next time they group up as 5, we'll definitely get 1 or 2 of these other towers. So
I completely agree. You have pushing. You have a pushing style lineup. You've got Queen of Pain that's going for a Necrobook 3. You've got the Warlock who screams push, right? So you're not too concerned whether or not you take it now or 2 minutes from now. It doesn't really make a difference. The key, like you said, is that they got it somewhat low, so the next time they go for any sort of all-in push for that top lane, they can just kind of take out 2 towers at once and give themselves enough of a gold lead from there.
Yep. There's no real early game hiding time. It's like, man, we really need this item in the next couple of minutes, like a mech or something. It's an ag scepter for Warlock, so whether you get the towers now or 5 minutes from now, that's not going to change the ag's timing too much. The Bristleback is looking for Vanguard into SMY or Vanguard BKB type build. Queen of Pain looking for more mid-game oriented items, I imagine. Well, the Necrobook you mentioned, so I guess an early T1 tower may accelerate the Necro 1, Necro 2, but not the biggest deal for them. And, well, here we go. Now they're going to say, well, it may be time to take the T1 now. They're going to TP in the Pugner on the dire side. Even just getting a deny here could be good news for HOT6, and it does get down to deny range. It looks like, unfortunately for Phoenix, they get it down a bit too low.
Yeah, that Pugner doesn't have the most mana, but they do have defender's advantage, and it looks like MVP Phoenix is going to be okay with that. Yeah, the tower gets denied, but it's about the map pressure that you put by just getting rid of that mid tower without having to use any major abilities.
Yeah, and they're already pressuring the top lane. That's a lane that HOT6 do not particularly want to have to go defend and push out top lane, because they've already taken the T1 tower. Not the most efficient use of their time, and awkward Sonic Wave comes out from Cure. Maybe trying to find the Pugner with a Scream combo there as well.
Maybe he only anticipated one hero there, and then thought he could throw it out, and then he saw the second one come in and decided against the blink. That's the only scenario that I think that works out, or it's a misclick.
Yep. He's going to just get back to safety for the most part, and we'll see MVP HOT6 pressure bottom, meanwhile Phoenix pressuring top. And we may be in for a tower trade here. This is not really an easy tower just to TP into, as you'll be going in one by one and just kind of setting up for the kind of chain stun, not to mention the glimpse back from the disruptor to be used to prevent any tier 1 tower defense. So it will be just a tier 1 for tier 1 exchange. And now the question is going to be whether or not HOT6 can take the mid tier 1. This looks to me like a tower Phoenix will try to defend.
Yeah, I think they absolutely should. They don't have the disruptor ulti, but it doesn't really matter because I feel with the rocks, they can't really lose this fight.
They also don't have the Sonic Wave is the one other problem here. March pump faking his ultimate, won't actually go for it, and it's going to be Phoenix actually rotating all 5 of their heroes back towards mid. Not the most efficient movement, but they wanted to get out of that top lane anyways and probably farm up their own jungle, even decide to pressure and go for a team fight. They're actually going to make their way towards mid lane and try and get something done. Necro 1 summoned by QO, and these Necrobooks have received a buff here. They're going to go forward here. They've got the rock available. Ooh, that purification hurts, and KP will be deterred from chasing further.
I think if you're MVP Phoenix, you want to get aggressive like this as well, because you want to be able to drop the rock in an offensive position where you're actually in a position to push instead of dropping it near your own tier 1 tower. You drop it there, you probably don't have enough time for the rock to trudge across mid, actually beat down on that tier 2. But if you're able to put some damage down onto that mid tower, get aggressive, look for the counter initiation, I think that plays okay.
So we'll see where their next move is going to be. The Ag Scepter for Warlock is coming up ridiculously fast. This has been an entirely uncontested Warlock from the laning phase into the mid game where he's been pressuring towers. Do they have the lineup that can deal with this Ags and later on Refresher Warlock, do you think?
I think the Ags Refresher is going to be way too big of an issue, because aside from the Weaver, they don't have the best way to DPS it down. On top of that, you have to deal with the Bristleback and the Queen of Pain, right? It's not just the Warlock Ags Refresher that they have to run into. It's the Bristleback who's now picked up a Vanguard. It's the Necronomicon 3 Queen of Pain who can pretty much do half of everybody's HP with her ultimate at level 3. There's just too many factors that have to go correctly for MVP HOT6 in these team fights. Like, they have to kind of kite perfectly. Frev has to be able to deal the most damage in the game for them to be able to stand a chance here. And you notice that Sunbee is sticking so close to him, but they have to be careful.
Oh, this time he doesn't get the repel off to stop the glimpse. He was mid-cast. We saw that in the previous Omni Knight game, using it to counter the glimpse, but a bit slow on the cast, and that's a free pickoff going the way of Phoenix. This should be a tier 2 tower. KP's just going to go running forward and look to go on that Nether Ward here, which does force out a defensive decrep, and also unfortunately chews away at most of KP's mana. Queen of Pain bottom has a Sonic Wave, will hold on to it for a little bit, goes in for the kill, but be delayed by defensive disruption. Jarek got off a defensive earn with it and will keep himself alive. Nice earned defensive disruption play, and healed himself up during the disruption and gets out of there alive. Also, I think Queen of Pain respecting the max Shadow Poison build that Jarek has pulled out.
It does so much damage, and it's really unexpected because the math on it is so weird. You don't play against it enough times, and it's not a popular enough hero that you're like, okay, 6 stacks of poison, it'll do exactly this much with an urn ticking at me.
You also are unsure how much damage it's going to do. Well, you're unsure what level it is. So you've taken 3 or 4 stacks. You're like, maybe it's level 1. I don't know. Maybe it's level 2 or 3. Until one of your teammates has actually tested it and died, You don't really know.
All right.
Okay, as I was saying, there we go. I mean, Febby's just like, okay, I'm sitting on like 3/4 HP. I'll be okay.
He had 10 stick charges as well. He just didn't anticipate that. Even Purge is like, okay.
That was...
He was so down with that because I know Shadow Demon's his hero.
One for the highlights, perhaps. Or the fails of the finals. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think it was well played by Jerax as well.
I agree. I don't actually think Febby... I mean, yeah, he didn't have to die there. He could have avoided it. But that was definitely I was watching the shock factor. I was not ready for him to die.
Yeah, neither was he. So the Warlock continues to farm out the jungle, and he's getting closer and closer to that Aghanim Scepter. And I feel once he gets it, they're going to have a really, really nice timing where they'll have the Necrobook 3, they'll have this Aghanim Scepter up as well. They've got the Bristleback's Vanguard. They don't really need to wait for too much as Sunbee's going to be the target here.
Oh, Static Storm Kinetic Field locks him in place as well. Will they need an Echo Slam? Doesn't look like it. Just the Totem will be enough, and that means they've still got all their ultimates outside of the Static Storm if they want to apply some pressure and push, which they seem to be doing. Bristleback at top lane, fighting the Weaver, almost killing the Weaver. One or two more quills, he gets a goo, but the Shikuchi comes back online. KP playing very aggressive up here, has a lot of quill spray stacks on the 4 of. He's going to go for the TP out after the stun misses. Nicely played by him.
Yeah, and 4F has not had the best game as he's being chased out by a Bristleback with no detection, just through the sheer power of I'm going to run at you until you run away from me. And the right clicks are enough to deal with that.
That's an awkward ward on the ground.
Yeah, he's not going to get a Deso first this game. He's trying to go for the BKB because of how many consecutive fights they've lost, and especially with how the laning phase went. I don't think he can afford to go for one, but this kind of feels like a game-losing BKB to me. It's not something that I feel is going to save their lives.
Oh, they're going to lead with the Fissure, follow up with the Infernal. Sunbee gets the GA off just in time to save him. Who's on the back foot, but the Sonic Wave blinking from Kuo finishes off the 1 kill. They want Jerax as well off to the side. Doesn't look like they'll find him initially. Fissure maybe out of range, but Kuo still in this fight, looking to get a bit more damage here with the Necrobooks. Doesn't look like they'll find it. Fissure from low ground to high ground. The Echo Slam comes out as well. Used mostly defensively. Sunbee on Omni Knight goes down, and Febby still alive and kicking. Has to deal with this Weaver. Won't be able to do so. A 2-for-1 trade, possibly a slight overextension as Kuo in trouble as well. No mana for a blink, misses the stun. Won't matter. 2-for-2 trade, and KP in some trouble here. He's on the run as well. Could look for the TP out. Doesn't look like that's going to be the plan just yet. He's still just going to run straight towards his teammate in March. He'll throw out a heal, and Forever will give up the chase. Maybe a slight overcommitment coming up from Phoenix.
Oh, blinking into their base wasn't a slight overcommitment. The problem is
just QO things.
They just overestimated how strong they were, and the Leshrac does do a fair amount of damage, and they need the Bristleback into the front lines, being able to tank up most of that damage, because as you saw, MVP, they don't have the best way to chase as they have 0 reliable disables. Like, you can use the disruption into the Leshrac stun combo, but against a Bristleback, even that isn't very effective.
Alright, well, see what Phoenix moves next. They kind of have to play around these long cooldowns in Sonic Wave as well as the Chaotic Offering, so could go for something at most like a smoke pickoff, but they probably don't want to go for a head-on team fight for some time, or at least another minute before those ultis come back up.
That is the one bright spot for HOT6. Like, they're not in the worst position because MVP, Phoenix are kind of beholden to their cooldowns, right? And they might even... Oh, they just miss him.
They saw him at that medium camp, and then he, like, blinked from the medium camp to that big camp, right past them. That was just unlucky time.
This is such an important fight that's about to happen.
Oh, the glimpse back on the MP. He ain't going to be the one getting caught up in the Purification. Does a lot of damage. QO getting low. MP cannot finish off the kill. They're going to get the one onto the Pugna now, and KP in the front line is doing big damage. MP forced back, does not want to fight into the Necro 3, but this Necro 3 could blow up on him. MP gets close to bringing it down, doesn't do so. He gets a double kill instead. Sonic Wave off to the side, does not get Sunbee. The Scream will, but MP's there. Has a Lightning Storm as well as Pulse Nova, needs vision to use it. QO blink out, not in time. KP is marched forward, but this does not look like a fight he's going to win. He feeds away his life. Leshrac gets a lot out of that fight, as does Jerax, who is on a mega kill streak, by the way. 2,000 gold swing. You mentioned an awkward fight, and especially without the Sonic Wave and Chaotic Infernals at the start of the fight, it was very difficult for MVP Phoenix.
Yeah, I think they overcommitted for the Pugna, and he got healed, but KP is still on top of him. The Queen of Pain, after going for him, took so much damage, wasn't in the best position, and he tried his best, but you're never going to get an ideal fight with him at that low of HP. The Warlock Golems weren't ready as well. And yes, you got the Destructor ultimate off, but Febby wasn't even in the best position. And Jerax, meanwhile, in the backlines, just continue to throw poisons out.
The repel on MP saved him when he killed that Necro 3 as well. I was like, I'm pretty sure he killed him. Like, he didn't take any damage. What's going on? But looking back at the fight, he was repelled up, and repel Leshrac, pretty damn scary. A lot scarier than a repel Weaver at this point of the game.
And so the Weaver has his own BKB, so that repel is going to go onto MP every single time, and now he just has to build for a damage item, and they're okay suddenly. As that was a 4-man wipe, if I remember correctly. I don't think the Warlock died, but him dying isn't a big deal.
Oh, they got the Omni Knight only, but yeah, 4 for 1, I guess. Weaver brought down a bottom lane. Earthshaker finds a pick off there. Queen of Pain will get out alive as well. They may look to chase on. This Shadow Demon, Jerax, a lot of farm to his name. Anything to cancel the TP, you betcha. Jerax, Echo Slam, MP's there with a repel on himself. He's going to turn this around, bring down Febby on the Earthshaker. We'll farm up the Necrobooks as well. That's some easy money going his way. Joy's blink forward, wants to finish off Jerax. Will do so. Sunby not there in time. And now they want Queen of Pain. They want the punish, and it looks like they'll get it. Oh man, a Blink Dagger on MP's Leshrac, and now they can clean up these rocks even. KP on the front lines. Doing what we can. The static storm goes down. MP.
They don't have a way to get in though and actually make use of this Shunter ult as KP. Well, now he does, and Sunbee's actually just gonna heal him up, I think. And
Sunbee doing what he can. Pulls out the Guardian Angel now. This Quill Spray's not gonna do anything during this. MP still fighting strong. Has a lot of Bloodstone charges, and they don't kill off Leshrac.
Frev though is coming in, and Nuts is trying to get out, as both sides are gonna get out of this as they realize that that isn't a winnable fight anymore. But that's a 17 charge Bloodstone Leshrac, and he'll respawn instantly with Boots Travel for the next fight. As I believe it's 1 per level. I'm not sure. They might have changed that, Kevin, with how Kevin would be the person I would ask for that. How the Bloodstone interaction works in terms of how long it takes for you to respawn. It's an incredibly low amount of time. Can we agree upon that?
Yep. He's respawning quickly is the word I would use.
All right, so Kevin's, he's giving me some gestures that I can't repeat here, as he's really satisfied to see the Ags rush on that Shadow Demon.
Oh yeah, this is a high-impact Shadow Demon in this game. I mean, the Max Shadow Poison has proven its worth, and right now, MVP HOT6, they've pulled their way back in this game. We haven't seen that big team fight out of the Ag Scepter Warlock. It's weird because before it, things were going just fine, but as the game has developed, HOT6 have kind of picked up their items, found their more than their items, they found their levels. Like having level 4 Repel and Leshrac in these team fights has been brutal.
More than that, I think it's also that they're kind of fighting around the Warlock timings, and they're making it a little bit useless, because if you noticed, MP runs in at the Warlock. The Warlock isn't sure what to do, because he doesn't want to just throw down both Golems onto the Leshrac, who's in full position. He's got his whole team behind him, but at the same time, you have to make a stand somewhere. So he drops both Warlock Golems, isn't able to do much because none of his teammates are really in position to take advantage of it, and that's the issue with the Warlock. That's the one downside. Otherwise, you'd see him in every game, is that he's very timing-based, and that timing, it's not a huge window, right? Because the cooldown on it is so large that every team always knows when that's up.
Yep.
So it's so difficult to fight around, and you're just seeing that right now is even if HOT6 lose one fight, they just tell themselves, get into another one. Like, they don't have their spells up, and they're such high cooldown.
They haven't even been losing that one fight. The last 2 Infernals, it feels like you can mess with the Warlock timing by trying to force out a bad ulti, which is exactly what happened with the last one, and the one before that when they dived into the enemy base. QO, nice dodge on the stun, has another blink soon. Is there any follow-up to this? Blink out, and he will make it into the trees. Stun could go blind. MP doesn't find it.
If he does hit that stun, I think they are able to kill him. They should have enough damage with just one or two more poison stacks, and they've got the entire team filing in. And look at how poor that Omni Knight is, but it feels like he's played a lot better than the Brood game, because he's in consistent position and he's hitting so many of his spells in the proper timings. that I feel like his laning phase didn't matter so much, and I think that was the plan here.
This is a big kill they can get. Where's the Omni Knight? He's nearby, but the Static Storm's in the way. Great Infernals this time. He gets the Leshrac kill, but it's an instant respawn. Sunbeam's not a hero you want to lose. You'll pop the Guardian Angel, maybe somewhat preemptively, but you have to do so to save his life. KP on the low green, life drain by Heen, who's going to now get down by the Queen of Pain. Qwo. Once this kill will be a defensive disruptor from Jericho, but it's going to be a chaotic Infernal waiting for him, and this is suddenly being turned around pretty decently for HOT6. That Leshrac Weaver duo didn't really have an answer for Leshrac a second time. Too many Bloodstone charges going his way. And Weaver just, everything was thrown at the Leshrac, so Weaver just had free reign over that team fight.
That's a 12-second Bloodstone again, or a 12-second charge. Oh, I don't know why I keep saying second. That's a 12-charge Bloodstone onto the Leshrac. He's picked up a Mystic Staff for himself as well. And now the fights just get even more difficult, and that's something they have to always contend with, is that every single fight that they lose, it just makes it so much easier for MP to get back into these fights. And it feels like you're fighting 6v5 every single time because you have to devote so much to killing the Leshrac. They had to use 2 ults there, the Queen of Pain one on top of the Disruptor one, just to get the Leshrac out of the way. He instantly respawns. Now he's got the Aegis on top of that. How are you going to kill this guy 3 times in a single fight?
And just doing this around the cooldowns again. This has been the HOT6 game plan for the last 15 minutes. They've had this big gold swing go their way because of their ability to fight around it. It's only a 4,000 net worth lead, but suddenly they find themselves in a position where Leshrac has an Aegis, has picked up a Mystic Staff, Boots of Travel, 12 Bloodstone charges. They're looking fantastic. And do you think this is the Octarine core coming out for Leshrac, or is he headed somewhere else?
I'd kind of like to see him build the Hex. The Octarine core is okay. The BKB would actually be, in my opinion, the best possible choice, right? What's killing him right now? It's the Earthshaker on top of everything that the Queen of Pain throws down and the Disruptor.
Static Storm, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the Static Storm that's doing the most possible damage to him.
Guess he feels he has Repel, but
it's not reliable, though.
I agree. It's not reliable, and I'd lean towards BKB. He's going to get found here in the river. Maybe chase down. They're going to go for the Nether one instead. Now looks for the TP out. They'd be there to cancel it. That's a freebie for Phoenix. They'll take whatever they can get right now.
That was like the most optimistic TP I've seen. He was like, well, if this works, I'm going to be happy. If it doesn't,
He could have just kept running. They weren't actually chasing him. They were focusing down the Nether ward. He's like, oh, I'm going to save my Nether ward.
This ward.
Let's decrep it. Let's just like mind game them a bit. It's the mental games coming out, trying to get in their head and just frustrate them perhaps.
100% not worth. If that's, I think that might be a Shiva's, but even a Hex. Oh, okay, he's going for the Octarine core. Okay, that's fine.
It's still, I mean, more HP, more survivability, more mana to throw spells around.
Yeah, I'm going insane. He's got an Aegis. I think this is a fine pickup. If you didn't have the Aegis, maybe go for something that would have given you a little bit more tank or better initiate. But I think if you have this Aegis right now, you're going to hit a timing where they're not going to try to go on you for once in a fight. You're not going to be targeted, and so you can just kind of sit there and deal as much damage as you want.
We talked about what's killing him. It doesn't really seem to be the physical damage, so it's not like he needs something like a Shivers or extra armor just yet. At some point, maybe the Quad Infernal Weinstein. Wow, nicely played. Qwo BKBs, but it's too late. Brought down. MP making plays.
And they're drawing a line straight for this bottom lane because they realize the Queen of Pain goes down. She uses her BKB as well, and she needs that to be able to survive. And I think that MVP HOT6 will be okay with this fight. Is you've got the travels up on the Leshrac as well. He's got the Aegis on top of that.
Need to defend or they're going to lose this bottom lane. Starts with KP and then they bring everyone else back. Up to the high ground we go. That's a repelled Aegis Leshrac. You do not want to mess with him.
And here's the high ground ability of MVP HOT6.
Oh, there's a refresher though. Warlock's timing has come online. They've got the Quad Infernals. Down go the first lot, down go the second lot. They're going on MP, but he's still fine. Sunbee has the Guardian Angel. They're just going to tear apart so fast.
And there goes, what? 9k in net worth that went to absolutely nothing.
With those Infernals or like something else I'm looking at here?
They were paper mache versions?
Perhaps. I'd believe it. And that's one of the things when you get the Ag Scepter, it does make the Infernals have lower base HP, and Leshrac has spread damage. He works great against that.
We were so excited for a second, and then they disappeared.
I thought he'd go more for the backlines, but dropped them just on a Leshrac, and Leshrac is still full HP. He also life skills off of them with the Octarine core. This is looking really bad for Phoenix. They've got no Warlock ultimate. Queen of Pain goes in with the Sonic Wave. It's being healed off by the Omni Knight. Only the Pugna gets low, and Pugna's still alive for now. Keen taking damage to the Shadow Strike, but it's going to be QO. The target, MP, blinks forward, brings down Queen of Pain, and still no buyback on Queen of Pain. Urshik is pulled back into the fray. As Pugna down for 40 seconds on the HOT6 side, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter here. The bottom lane of Rax under siege. Weaver delivers a Daedalus during the middle of this fight. Takes a bit of damage there from a Necro 3 unit, but he's going to heal it back up using the time lapse. And now, bottom lane of Rax will be claimed. MVP HOT6 with a 2-1 lead. Get one Rax closer to cinching their spot at the International 5 in Seattle.
All of a sudden, MVP Phoenix. I mean, this has to be so demoralizing. You drop the quad rocks and it does nothing.
Oh man, and then Warlock just going to get jumped and taken apart. They're just playing so ballsy right now on the HOT6 side. They play by their own rules. They say, okay, you can have your free farm Warlock, you can farm your Accept, you can farm your Refresher, and it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah. I really thought that was going to do a lot more, because in the Complexity versus Gnar game, we saw how effective those 4 golems could be, but in this game, it just felt like they went down so quickly. As we see here at this bottom lane, there goes rock number 1, and immediately followed up with rock number 2, and they're gone.
Just lightning storm or 2 and the pulse nova, no issue at all for MVP HOT6 to deal with. They even cut HOT6 in half. The fissure blocked the ramp. There was Omni Knight and Leshrac stuck on the high ground. Didn't matter.
And Febi's going to be the target now, and if he goes down, they're not going to have...
That's a double crit.
Oh, QO's actually going to get stunned from the top.
QO blink back. There's a glimpse onto the Weaver, but Weaver's got no problems right now. He's going to get healed up and repelled. That allows him to bring down the Necrobooks. These Necrobooks have just been free money for MVP HOT6 throughout this game, and I think maybe an item that QO might be regretting at this stage. Easy to say that in hindsight, but the number of Necrobook kills and the low impact from these items has been very noticeable.
I think he presumed that the bottom fight was going to go a lot better than it did with all of the rocks. He's like, okay, we're going to have this sick pushing lineup. We can deal with the Weaver in fights, but they didn't account for this Leshrac.
To the high ground we go. MP blinks forward, no longer has an Aegis, but he doesn't seem to care. He's getting healed up, and no one on the HOT6 side taking damage. They drop the rocks once more, but MP in the Static Storm will just run south instead. Now he's going to turn and fight. Just starts throwing nukes at the rock. He's healing himself up. His team in a bit of trouble. Leshrac finally goes down, but 5-second respawn. Boots of travel. He can come back in 4. Won't get off a time lapse though. He'll buy back time lapse. He's back. Full HP. Leshrac's back as well, and this mid lane is in all sorts of trouble. Beggy wins. Oh, he's back to Fountain. Can Weaver afford Boots of Travel? Doesn't look like it. 4Rev marches forward. Leshrac cannot get in. Actually, sorry, what am I talking about? He actually used Boots of Travel in a row. 4Rev puts 4 MVP Phoenix heroes on the sidelines, and with that, it looks like mid lane of Rax going down as well. Warlock, nothing really at his disposal. Now he's going to get purged up, disrupted. Couple poison sacks already, maybe a couple more coming soon. Purification is there, that's a dead Warlock. Buyback from Disrupting. All he can maybe do is try and find this kill on the Shadow Demon, but even that is not going to be easy to do. Will manage to get it, but meanwhile, Weaver just whittling away, turning the Radiant Face into smithereens as the mid-Rax is taken. Buybacks come out from Phoenix, but it's looking all over here. Leshrac's finally arrived once again after being glimpsed back to the Fountain, and with Leshrac here, I don't think there's anything Phoenix can do, Blitz.
Yeah, he's finally made his way down here. We kind of forgot about him in this fight, but Mega Creep should mean the game, as they don't have both the golems to deal with this. QO is going to come in with the BKB. Febi's coming in as well, but they just don't have the damage right now, as the Leshrac is dropping a little bit low, but Febi, he's going to get taken out, and they just don't have the damage to deal with this Leshrac at this point in the game.
The Decrep blocking the Bristleback damage, and with that, Mega Creep's about to be claimed. GG is called, and HOT6 will be your Korean representative at the International, winning the SEA qualifiers. Meanwhile, MVP Phoenix will be playing and battling their way through the wildcard matches. And what a way to end things here. It looked like maybe Phoenix were going to be forcing out a Game 5. March had all the farm in the world on that Warlock, but in the end it just didn't even matter.
It just came down to MP, the way that he itemized, ignoring me and going for the smarter build, and it just felt he was unkillable. He did so much damage to all of these Warlock Golems. They had to take him down, but at the same time...
When they did, it's a 5-second respawn.
Yeah, exactly.
He snowballed way too hard. He had some 6 stuns as well. Another just kind of No, he's just hitting these stuns without the initiations half the time. Yeah, they had the Shadow Demon, but it didn't feel like they needed the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, and Forev pops almost immediately, but he just comes in and the fight just ends off of that. And I mean, congratulations to both MVP teams who will both make it to the International. MVP Phoenix's hopes aren't over yet, so that's the good news for them.
Yep, we're joined once again at the panel. K-pop and Purge. SEA is a wrap.